I think one of the main appeals about PvP card games is the feeling of like using the limited resources you are given by your card draw luck, and I guess whatever you put in your deck to play around your opponent's win conditions, play against them, and advance your own. And then when you can win that way, you feel like you've sort of won a game of skill, I guess. Today's video is not about that. Today's video is about bringing Uno to a Shadowverse fight. Where we're going, we don't need any resources. All we need is to believe in the heart of the cards and outskill your opponent with the best top decks. So today's video will be about Handless Blood, and also called Paradise Blood in game, but we all know what's going on here. You're just tossing an entire hand, so we call it Handless Blood. So this is a deck that is based around Paracelese. It's an aggro deck. Paracelese will invoke from your deck if you have 0 cards in hand, and then she'll do damage to the enemy leader and heal you and draw your card to help you top deck more damage. That's how the deck works. And if you draw her early on, you can just discard her and put her back into the deck. So yeah, this is a very heavy aggro deck. The entire point is just to vomit your hand out onto your opponent's face, and then Paracelese just blows them up. That's how it works. It's a pretty straightforward deck, I think. The main reason why I'm showcasing this deck is because it's super cheap. We all know throwback rotation, not the most, not the kindest on our Val stores, I think. So if you really want a deck to play or something, you can play this deck. I will warn you though, this deck isn't that good, neither is it that fun. But if you just like vomiting your hand out, eye rolling your opponent to death, and then like if you get a high out of that, you can enjoy this deck, I guess. Yeah, that's the deck, I guess. Let's move on to the games. So the first game I have for you here is against Shadow, and we are going first. Shadow can be annoying because they have Gilnelis and they have Rulanai, both of which are pretty annoying for you. So if your opponent has both Rulanai and a bunch of Gilnelis and other healing cards, you might be in trouble, but we don't really care about that. We just want to murder our opponent. That's the entire point of playing this deck. You don't have to think very hard. You just focus on the murder. That's it. So we just keep the early game. We just look for 1-cost cheap cards we can play. We avoid playing Briar Vampire too early because if you play her too early, you draw more cards next turn and it doesn't help you as much get towards your handless win condition. So gotta watch out for that. So we just go ahead and buff the Scorpion of Depths and punch them in the face. Oh, that's all we have to do to win, really. You can see my opponent is a good player, so they use Krampus to destroy the Luna. This is why I don't really like keeping Room Service Devil in this matchup, at least. In some matchups maybe it's fine, but in most matchups I feel like people know how to play around Room Service Devil, which is not great. So here I discard 2 cards. As you can see, I kept Razory Claw. And you might be thinking, if I kept the Legendary Tome, I could have played Adherent of Desire and Legendary Tome, and then I can invoke Paracelese this turn. And that's true, but Razor Claw is more damage, and even if we invoke Paracelese too early, she's not gonna do too much for us. And most importantly, you just have to believe in the heart of the cards that you can just do that next turn anyway. So we just go for the damage. We draw 2 cards next turn, but it's fine because all we have to do is just draw cards that we can play and empty our hand next turn to invoke Paracelese on our evil turn, which is the game plan right now. So Full Moon Leap is good, Bad Usher is good, so we did draw cards that we can play as we planned, as is Guild Expression in this deck. So we go ahead and just buff and then get a Storm from Bad Usher as well because we are good players, and then we put our opponent down to 3 by turn 4, which is kind of stupid that we can do that, but the game's not over yet because my opponent has Rulanai. And you'll see they have Gilnelis as well. And they will go ahead and use the Gilnelis to heal. They do heal up 6, so they are at 9 now, which is a bit annoying. We can just invoke our Paracelese here and start getting the Paracelese chain going. Got the Bad Usher here as Paracelese as well. The unfortunate point of picking up Paracelese here is that we cannot play her because if we play her we'll draw a card. So we go ahead and evolve to put her back in the deck, get more Paraceleses to invoke later on. It does allow them to play Angel's Blessing if they have it, but it's a sort of a risk we have to take, I guess. That's the Rulanai from my opponent. And they have another Gilnelis as well, so they are healing a lot here, which is not good for us, but it's fine. We still have a lot more damage left in the deck if we can draw it. We go ahead and skill. Go ahead and hit them. They go ahead and heal here, and we invoke our Parasiles. Then we draw Room Service and Full Moon Leap because we are skilled players. Here we play Room Service to do 5 damage to their face. And then we, the logic is that we keep Full Moon Leap for next turn. We don't evolve Parasiles here. Even though we have more Parasiles in the deck to invoke, we don't evolve Parasiles here. For 2 reasons. One is because we want to not let them play Angel's Blessing. They've already spent 2 gil knowledge, so their healing is limited. And second, after this we put that down to 5, meaning that as long as we draw any playable Blood Follower, we should be able to finish them off next turn anyway, so we just hold on to this Full Moon Leap now. No need to rush towards Handless without thinking. Full Moon Leap is a very solid source of damage. More damage than invoking Gilnolis would do on average, I think. And there's the Ruler Knight as well, so we just have to draw any... I think any Blood Follower works, maybe some don't work, but more or less we just need a Blood Follower. And we are good players, so we just draw Adherent of Desire, so this is just going to be lethal. So that's it for this game. A nice showcase of how we outskill my opponent with a very careful top decking. So let's move on to the next game. So again, we're going first this time against Haven. Haven can be healed, it can be ward. Either way, it's annoying for us because they have a lot of healing or wards. I keep Parasiles if I had a discard card, but we don't, so we go ahead and toss her back. Just keep Adherent and Legendary Tome for 1 cost cards that we can play out for free. For 1 cost. Got the Parasiles here, that's okay, I guess we do have Eternal Contact to toss her later on. As Empyrean Unicorn, my opponent is pretty bold here in playing a follower because if I had Room Service Devil, they would be in trouble, but lucky for them I don't. We draw another Adherent here. Drop down the Legendary Tome as well, just to play out our cards. But no value in trading here, really. And we trade for us instead. And then this turn we play Eternal Contract, and we do draw a 1 cost card, so we can just empty our hand this turn because we are good players, I guess. And then the Bane will help us clear the Yearlung so they don't get a free Evo out of it, which is good for us. And then Legendary Tome will finish off their Unicorn. Now we are empty, but unfortunately my opponent does have the Glistering Angel here, so they will deny my Parasiles invoke. We instead end up drawing her, which is not the most ideal situation. So we go ahead and use the Bane just to get rid of the Unicorn. We don't really want them evolving the Unicorn. They can just kill it with evolving Glistering Angel here, but I think denying them the Unicorn Evo is probably worth it. We pick up a Room Service Demon here, so we can go ahead and play the Parasiles, which will draw a card. Unfortunately, it is Full Moon Leap, which we don't want to lose, but probably fine, so we use Room Service to discard. We can keep our Evo points with our 3 Parasiles left in deck. And unfortunately, my opponent has another Glistering Angel, so there goes my Parasiles once again. Another Invoke denied. And we pick out a Goblin here, which isn't great. Let's go ahead and drop it. We could Evo and trade, but there's actually no reason to do that, so we just go ahead and pass here. And thankfully my opponent doesn't have the 3rd Glistering Angel as well, so we might still be able to play the game. So there's the Karamia from my opponent, which will buff their board, and they have a damage shoot as well. Gilnolis will just get rid of it though. So we pick up Bat Usher and Legendary Tome here. We want Bat Usher to get Storm, so we play the Tome first. And then we can play the Bat last so we can get Storm. Use Parasiles to clear their followers and then just punch them in the face. We're not doing super well on aggroing them down, but hopefully it's good enough. Here my opponent whips up the Lunarian Paladin, which is annoying. And then Shiro as well to clear my board, which is even more annoying. At this point my opponent is at 5 Evo, so if they have Holy Saber I am probably screwed, so we just have to pray they don't. They only have 3 cards in hand, so hopefully none of those is Holy Saber. Pick up Room Service and Razory Claw, so we go ahead and use that. Pop their Shiro, and then Razory Claw. Then we just go ahead and clear some of their followers here. Don't really want to have to deal with those, especially if they're Holy Saber. I need to make sure they don't have followers on board. And thankfully the Legendary Tome snipes the Cavalier. And my opponent doesn't have Holy Saber, so they go ahead and drop the Jupiter. My opponent wasn't skilled enough at this game to draw their Holy Saber, fortunately. So that's Bellringer. Of course, we're not like exactly winning either because they have a lot of wars we have to get through. So we invoke Paracelese here. This is our last Paracelese. Got Eternal Contract, we just go ahead and use that to draw. Pick up more Briar Vampires, we can use those to draw as well. And we pick up Adherent of Desire, which isn't great, but I guess it's better than nothing, so we'll just go ahead and play it on board and just pass. Fortunately, my opponent is a bit healthy here at 7. They drop the Temple Healer, which, contrary to its name, does not in fact heal. And then go ahead and just trade it. I guess they're just playing it safe, which is a mistake from them because they're giving us time to draw. We can pick up Razorry Claw here. And then at this point, looking at this board state and this hand, a lesser player might have conceded. But if you look at my opponent, they have 4, which means I only need 5 or less damage to kill them. Or rather, which means I just need Room Service Demon to kill them. Now I have played 1, 2 Room Service Demons, but if you're a good player like me, you will look at your deck here in the corner, in the right corner, and you will realize that top card right there is Room Service Demon, and you've won the game. So we just trade into Jupiter to lock their board, and then we just pass. Now they can't play Holy Saber, so they have no escape. And we take a bunch of damage, but we just draw Room Service Demon and finish them off. So that's it for this game. Let's move on to the next game. So, for our last game for today, we are going against Dragon, and we are going second. We do like going first over going second, but not much we can do about that. I probably should have kept the Goblin there, honestly, but I guess I didn't want to. So, Adherent of Desire is great going second, because I guess she can buff herself. That's about it. That's about all she does. It's not like that much of an advantage anyway, but I mean, it's cool, so yeah, she go ahead and buff herself. But my opponent has the Tropical Mermaid, so they will be able to clear my Adherent anyway, so yeah, we don't really like going second much. Now, normally I would say that you should save Briar Vampire here and like not discard too early, but kind of need to because our hand is super bad. It's fine, we can just draw like cards that we can play anyway, so the hand will just disappear on its own. So pick up Paracelese here and Scorpion, and another Scorpion, which isn't great. Go ahead and just drop the Scorpions on board, and then Legendary Tome for max effect, and then just punch them in the face. If you can put Legendary Tome on board with at least 3 followers in play, it will reach the 4 damage to the enemy leader effect, which is very strong, so look out for that if you find the opportunity. Got another Scorpion, which isn't great either, so we just go ahead and drop Paracelese here and just manually evolve her to force ourselves into a handless situation. It's a bit concerning that we haven't increased our Paracelese count, so we only have 2 left in deck, so we have to try and kill them within the next 2 turns, hopefully. And there's Dragon's Awakening, and they have Celestial Dragoon, and it will be able to evolve for free, which is not great for us, because we want them to spend evil points so that we can spend our evil points. They will go ahead and trade it. Invoke Paracelese here, and then with the power of skill, we just drop Full Moon Leap here, which is very strong. Go ahead and buff the Paracelese as well, and drop Briar Vampire to draw something. He got Room Service Demon here. I could evolve Paracelese and discard it, but realistically, by just attacking them here, I'm putting them down to 5, which is Room Service range. Even if they heal, we still have 4 damage from the enemy leader on the enemy leader for Legendary Tome here, so they're actually effectively down to 1 right now, so they probably just... Actually, if I just... Yeah, they're lethal from 9, so they can't escape, so they just probably realized it, so they just conceded, so yeah. Pretty fast game here. So that's it for the games I have for you today. Hopefully it shows you a good idea of why we call this deck a top deck skillless luck deck. It does require some decision making to play optimally, because you need to decide when to play cards like Eternal Contract, when to play Briar Vampire, when to discard, when not to discard, when to spend your evil points, stuff like that. It's like pretty standard like resource management as far as aggro deck goes, which is just managing your damage and to make sure that you can actually find lethals. It's very cheap, which is why I showcase this deck basically. It's just for the cheapness. So if you really need a cheap deck to play, you can build this. It's especially if you've been playing unlimited or anything, you probably already have Paracelese. Then you can just basically put this deck together for really cheap. It's not super strong or anything. It can have trouble, especially if you don't draw well. On the other hand, you could also say it requires some pretty solid draws to be able to roll your opponent fast enough. But yeah, if you just, I mean, among cheap decks, this is one that can definitely win games. So I guess that's that. If you need a deck for Grand Prix, especially maybe if you don't have Vials or you don't want to commit Vials, you could try this one. Yeah, that's it for today's video. See you next time. Bye bye.